Making connections is what it's all about. It brings our life meaning and purpose. In fact, neurobiology shows that we are literally hardwired to connect to each other. And technology has provided more ways than ever for us to connect. This is what I use to connect, the technology I use to connect to the broader world. That crazy-looking thing on the right is called a coupler modem. And that ancient-looking thing on the left is a rotary dial phone. Some of you might recognize it. And to connect to the broader world, I had to dial that phone, 8 or 9 digits, and then I had to listen for the computer to answer, which kind of sounded like someone squeezing a cat, kind of the screeching sound. And the second you heard that, you had to shove it into those rubber cups of the coupler modem. And voila, easy peasy, I was connected to the broader world. Now that coupler modem is just one of the tools we've used in technology to connect us as society. You can think back to the Stone Age, but I decided I went back about 170 years. So just 7 generations, and thought about in 1844, the telegram. The first telegram was sent. It was sent by Samuel Morse of Morse code fame from Baltimore to DC. His message was, "What has God wrought?" Fast forward 30 years, the first telephone call, Alexander Graham Bell. "Mr. Watson, come here, I need to see you." 40 years till the first radio broadcast. It was actually on a November 2nd. It reported the results of a presidential campaign, Harding versus Cox. And the radio broadcast beat the newspaper. Ironically, Harding and Cox both owned a newspaper. Another 20 years, the first TV broadcast. It was actually still experimental. It was at the New York World's Fair. And then 30 years later, what I think of as the true start of the internet. It was the Advanced Projects Research Agency network that was connecting university computers around the world. And the very first computers that were connected was at UCLA and Stanford University. And they wanted Stanford University to log in to the UCLA computer. Ironically, they had to be on a phone to make sure it was working. So the people at UCLA sent over an L to the Stanford computer. "Did you get the L?" "We got the L." "Did you get the O?" "Yes." "Did you get the crash?" So of course the first one crashed, but that did not stop progress. The explosion of interconnected computers did not slow down. And soon, all over the world, especially at universities, computers were connected. Another 24 years, and finally in 1993, the very first World Wide Web page was published. It provided links so that people could easily just click to get to this interconnected world of computers. Things really start to accelerate. 1998, the first Google was launched. iPod 01, Facebook 04, our first iPhone, Instagram, Snapchat, Amazon Echo, which you have a voice-activated control. And of course, the last month, the emergence of Pokemon Go, where it uses augmented reality on top of Pokemon. Let's catch it. Now I claim a couple spots on a timeline. 1981, the aforementioned coupler modem was in 1981. And in 1997, on June 7th, 1997, I launched a website to connect friends and family to a premature baby named Bridget. Bridget's life was a short 9 days, but her legacy has lived on in CaringBridge.org. It's amazing. It was a year before Google, 7 years before Facebook. I think of all of those, I'm going to back up, all of those as just touch points of this map of an explosion of social technology. And look at the last 20 years. Look at that compression of dots. Past generations had decades to get used to new technology, new ways to connect. This compression of change, many times has just kept us stumbling forward, trying to figure it out. But I know the impact of being able to be connected can be so powerful. I've seen for 19 years in CaringBridge how a safe, caring environment can lift people up and bring people forward. Tanya mentioned that CaringBridge just passed the 2 billionth visitor mark. That's 2 billion acts of love, hope, connection, lifting us up. Research shows that putting positive energy out in the e-universe has a benefit to both the sender and the receiver. In fact, a study at the University of California, Berkeley, they did a report that showed people say they have an uplifted mood anytime they send or receive a text message. When someone sends or receives a message of love, kindness, connection, upliftedness, I think of it as a way of saying it forward. In fact, I'm even going to put a hashtag on that. Hashtag say it forward. It's kind of a play on pay it forward, that idea that you can have a ripple effect of good deeds. I think the essence of say it forward is the impact we can have within our social media, our social technology. We control a vast amount of content, a vast amount of connection, and we need to use it for good. We see a lot of messages kind of rise up during headline times, both good and bad. In April, Carson Wentz got drafted #2 in the NFL. Woohoo! Saw a lot of great positive social messages. There was actually a lot of messages when he locked himself in the bathroom in New Jersey as well. Or the Moorhead police officer who on his CaringBridge site, while he was in the Twin Cities getting treated for his brain cancer, talked about how he had never missed one of his son's baseball games. Word got around, and what happened? Not one friend showed up, but neighborhoods, people he worked with, groups of his friends. Not a one friend, but a community. And of course, we all come together during the agony of these terrorist attacks. Just to pick one, thinking about the Paris attack last November, how the French flags were everywhere on social media. Eiffel Towers in the sign of a peace symbol. And these are good connection points. It's important to us to show support and be connected. But I think we can put this into practice every single day, not just during those headline moments. Here's a great example. This gentleman told his daughter, I can get 98 likes. Of course, he ended up with more than 98,000, closer to 98,000 than 98. That was not possible just 5 years ago. This instantaneous connection and upliftedness. Look at that guy, made his day. And not just because he could tell his daughter, I told you so. A few months ago, I was driving from Milwaukee to the Twin Cities, and on the radio, I happened upon a podcast that was interviewing a new author. His name was Kevin Hazard. He wrote the book, 1,000 Naked Strangers. And it was about his 10 years he spent as an EMT, a first responder. And what struck me and caught my imagination was when he talked about as he held people's hands as they were about to die. And he talked about how there's 3 commonalities that he discovered in those conversations, in those moments. The first was that many people have a regret of something they had or hadn't done. As life faded, they wanted to know they'd be remembered. And in their final moments, they wanted to know their life had value. And what struck me is how we can give this gift to each other every day, not as you're taking your last breath, but as you live and breathe. What a gift we can give to each other. And those heartfelt expressions of love, of kindness, of memories, of connection is the very lifeblood that I see every single day on CaringBridge. but should be extended to every day. You don't have to have a terminal diagnosis or be in the back of an ambulance to tell people what they mean to you, to say it forward. The ability to connect and create this content brings with it a responsibility. We are the ones that control those communications. Being able to use them in the most positive, kind way is on us to do. Putting out kindness, hope, love is kind of a counteraction to the unkindness and hate that is scope creeping on many social media avenues. Think of those say it forward as an antidote. It's your superhero power to say it forward. Even with something as simple as a Snapchat to your mom. Or a CaringBridge post that brings a smile or shows support. Or a quick tweet that talks about the power of love. Your legacy is your record of what you say forward. What you put out today is the equivalent of what past generations wrote on letters and now are stuck in cedar chests. But what you say forward today is not in a cedar chest in an attic. It's out there, imprinting itself on the world. So let's accelerate right now. I'm giving you permission to pull out those phones, if you don't have them out already. Create a message of love, of hope, of compassion, of kindness. Let's start that ripple effect of say it forward. Thank you.